Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This, of course, is another anime reaction video. Today, we are getting into the next two episodes of Death Parade, episodes 9 and 10, with the unexpected twist that we were going to have a game that carries over from one episode, episode 8, to the next episode, episode 9, is, that's new for this series. First time that's happened. So in the penultimate video for this series, the reaction to episode 9 and 10, we're going to at least get some resolution to that plot point. And then honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen after that. I imagine it'll get resolved this episode, and then maybe like episodes 10 through 12 will be like resolution on, and I still don't know her name. That new girl, resolution as to her whole thing, because she is a human that came here, and she kind of knows already she died, but she just hasn't really spoken up about it. So that's really interesting, and I'm really excited to see what happens next in the show, you know. And if you're excited to see more of these videos and the conclusion of Death Parade as well, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell as well. We're almost done with these. So you can do all that so you don't miss a single upload in the future. Without further ado, unless you're new here, as always, links down in the description below will take you to the full-length uncut reaction, where you can, of course, watch the full-length uncut reaction, and then you can come back to YouTube for the discussion. So without further ado, let's get started with this first episode of the video, episode 9 of Death Parade. God damn, that was a really good episode. That really wrapped up the whole, well, not really murder mystery. I don't think it was ever intended to be a murder mystery based off of all that, but that really wrapped up the story between those two really, really nicely. I really liked this episode. It was really just, felt really raw, if that makes sense. Filled with a lot of emotions. It's definitely the darkest the show has gotten so far, I'd say. Because obviously, the reason why episode 1 was so dark is because it came out of nowhere, and it just hit you with so many things that are just so visceral, you know, if that's a good word to use to describe it. But this episode, that hit so much harder because like I was saying in the episode, shit like this, not exactly like this, but shit where, you know, police don't intervene because they need the evidence to actually put them away, because if they intervene now, then they wouldn't, you know, it would be a lot harder to put the criminals away. That's a real thing that I've heard about before, you know, and there are some really, really messed up things, like the detective was saying, Detective Tatsumi. There's some really disgusting, fucked up people in this world, and like some of the fucked up things you see in media, sometimes they don't even come close to the shit that happens in real life, and you know, more often than not, there's some sort of inspiration from real life, you know, that the media, the terrible media, the fucked up, disturbing media we see from is usually loosely based on some things, you know. One of the most fucked up things that I can think of that happened in real life, like if you read up on the entire story, I'm not going to do it here because it's really messed up, and it's seriously not for the faint of heart. But there was a Japanese girl named Junko Furuta, who had a lot of things, bad things happen to her in the late 1980s. And honestly, even though this was pretty disturbing in this episode, what happened to Shimada's younger sister, who knows what's going to happen to her in the future, but it's not as bad as some of the things that can happen in the real world. So I can totally, you know, I can totally understand where everyone in this situation is coming from. I can completely understand where Shimada's coming from. To have his little sister, who's been basically raising by himself for who knows how long at this point, blood, sweat, and tears to make sure she's happy and safe, to have something even like a little bit similar, to have something that horrible happens, even though it's not the worst thing that's ever happened to someone you care and love about so much. I completely understand where he's coming from, and again, I don't know how I would react in that situation, being confronted with somebody who was literally there and just watched it happen, who is not directly responsible, but is what do you call it, an accomplice. They were they were indirectly involved in sort of... It's weird how you would define it, but at the same time, I get where Tatsumi's coming from. His story of revenge is a bit tamer, so to speak. He had his wife killed, which is obviously horrible. That's not tame in the slightest. But then he did get his revenge, and he felt this sort of like satisfaction from it. And so now he wants to do that to more people. He wants to help victims out by helping them get their revenge. But like the thing is, he's going about it in like a really weird way, where he's just like, well, I do want to get revenge for these victims, but I can't get revenge for victims if there are no victims. So I'll let them have their victims, and then I'll kill them. Which is, I get it, but it's just a really fucked up way of doing things, and it's really especially fucked up to phrase it in the way you did. I'm not sure you could have phrased it any better, but to say that all in front of somebody who's directly involved with it, it's really fucked up. That really sucks. And I think the worst part of this, the saddest part of this entire storyline between those two characters is that, to be fair, I don't know if Tatsumi has like a kid or whatever, but his wife is gone. He got his revenge, so now that he's dead, they're sort of, I don't know how I'd put this, but I feel like overall Shimada's story is worse, because yes, his wife died, but he did get his revenge, so did Shimada. But also now that that's all over, what's gonna happen to Sai, his younger sister, because she was in the hospital last time we saw her. Who knows? Obviously, we know, as far as we know, nobody else is going after her in terms of stalker, because both of the people that were involved in that situation are dead. But last time we saw her, she was in the hospital. I don't know how hospital billing works in Japan, but I imagine they couldn't really afford very good insurance, you know, because the brother had to work by himself in shitty, like, construction jobs that probably don't pay very well, and he had to work really late nights just to afford to take care of his sister, and now she's just kind of by herself because their parents are dead. I believe that's what they said. Their parents are dead, and I likened their story between the older brother taking care of the daughter after something happened to their parents with between Sora and Orihime in Bleach, where Orihime had abusive parents. In this case, the Shimadas, they have no parents, from what I remember. They're both dead. So even if they were abusive, even they don't have anyone to lean back on anymore. As far as I know, they don't have any family to lean back on anymore. And I'm pretty sure she's either late middle school or early high school age. So she's going to have a tough time by herself, because even in the case of, like, I think, you know, those anime where they have high school students living in, like, studio apartments by themselves, it's usually because their parents are, like, paying for it or something. Or they're, like, relatives or something. I feel like that's not something that's in this. Maybe it is, I don't know. And maybe I'm speculating things that don't matter, because it'll never get brought up ever again. Who fucking knows? All I know is that I really want to get into the next episode, because there's now a lot of deep conflict in members of Queen Dekim that have nothing to do with the people who play the games. And the biggest conflict of all is obviously in Dekim himself, since he's fucking dealing with this, like, existential crisis that his entire life, his entire purpose for being, is being called into question, you know, by the girl. I don't know. I'm just gonna get straight into the next episode. This is a really nice episode. I definitely preferred episode 9 if we were gonna be, you know, ranking this episode, so to speak, but this is a really great episode. I like the callback to previous episodes, or specifically the OVA. Let me look up Death Parade fandom, because I need to look up OVA, because I need to see the old man again. The old man. Yep, it's the same old man. I'm so glad they brought him back, because that was really cool, and I really like the inclusion of Sachiko Uemura. She was an interesting character by herself, but also as like a plot device, so to speak, for the sort of continuing development between Dekim and Chiyuki, the newly named Chiyuki, was great, and I like her. I like the old lady's approach to all of this. That was really cool. Even though it's not very realistic, and as much as I'd like to say I would have the same reaction as her if I was in this situation, I cannot guarantee that. But it felt like a nice change of pace. You know what I mean? To have this sort of thing, this sort of reaction. You know what I mean? And I really am excited to see how this ends. But I'm also terrified because then that means I'll never be able to watch the show for the first time again. I can only watch something for the first time once. And I can't wait to hear what kind of tragic backstory Chiyuki has. Most of them have tragic backstories or something, especially considering the last two episodes, episode 8 and 9. Like, Jesus. It's just... It's still got some mysteries going into the last two episodes. I hope it wraps up in like a conclusive, satisfying ending, especially with Oculus, especially with that twist at the end. Or not twist, so to speak, but that cliffhanger at the end where he basically infiltrated Clavis's mind and was like, what has Nona been up to? I need to see what this bitch is doing behind my back. Okay, just real quick before I end, just looking at the fandom wiki, it is apparently unknown exactly what happened to Shimada and Tatsumi, but it is likely that they were sent to the Void, which is what I thought, because they only showed one mask, that being the mask that shows up when people are sent to the Void, but it's curious why. And maybe that's part of it's part of letting people speculate, and at the end of the day, why people are sent to reincarnation or Void isn't exactly the most important thing. It's more so just like that we just have the information we have, and we see that they go there, and we can kind of like interpret it for ourselves. So, man, this show. God, am I actually? I'm just really happy that I decided to watch this show. It's been a wild ride, and I'm genuinely not prepared to see how it ends. But if you're ready to see me see how it ends for the first time, and you want to see more things after the series too, even, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and notification bell so you don't miss a single upload in the future. Thank you for watching. Peace.